Hello everyone and welcome back to the series. It's the final day of the season. We've reached that point of the year, one more game to go, and it will decide if we finish either in 6th or 7th position, between us and Chelsea fighting for that 6th spot. And our final game is at home to Everton. Callum Wilson is out in front as the top goal scorer, but first of all let's just run through what happened off camera. So in the last episode, we had that heartbreaking penalty shootout defeat to United in the FA Cup semi, and then got absolutely battered by Liverpool, the champions. And then we went away to Man City, who beat us 5-1 in the reverse fixture. You remember, one of the first few games of the season, and we did a lot better here in this one. The only goal of the game coming courtesy of Raheem Sterling, who broke the deadlock from close range from Zinchenko's cross. We could have easily got a point. It was an even game. We had a few really good chances in the last few minutes, hit the bar, and Edison denied us, but it wasn't to be. We then had a really disappointing one at home to Leicester. We went 2-0 down, courtesy of 2 Jamie Vardy goals, before we managed to pull it back to 2-2. So a real topsy-turvy game this. Jamie Vardy just wanted it more. Look at that. Beats the defenders to the ball to give Leicester the lead, and then another into the second half. It was a second goal. I mean, poor defending again, and Jamie Vardy taking full advantage of that. But we fought back. Josh King to Harry Wilson to Jefferson Lerma to Jack Stacey, who drilled hard across Kasper Schmeichel to bring us back in the game, and then Hlosek went on one of his little runs, found Callum Wilson with a through ball, and he did what Callum Wilson does. He did Callum Wilson things and equalised. I thought we were going to get a point at least, but towards the end, Diego Rico lost, who gave Leicester the win. A disappointing result, that. And then, so it was a really big game away to Southampton, who are fighting relegation, and we managed to come away with a win. It was Super Callum Wilson who turned provider extraordinaire for this one, as he created both goals, setting them both up for 2 substitutes. First, Hlosek, who's had a real good second half of the season since he broke into the team to break the deadlock. And then, again, about 8 minutes to go, he played right across the box, and look at that. Thiago Almada timed his run to absolute perfection to fire home and sink Southampton into real relegation trouble. We then had a 0-0 draw away from home, away to Wolves, who came into the game in poor form. Although they probably, a draw was probably a fair result, although Callum Wilson still, that penalty miss against United in the semi where he dragged it wide of David De Gea's goal, still weighing on his mind. This time Rui Patricio made a good save, to be fair, and he got man of the match for his efforts to deny Callum Wilson, adding another one to his Premier League tally. But we came away from that game with a point, and if we look at the table, you'll see that we are still sat in 6th position, and it'd be nice if we can finish there. We've got Everton, who are in 8th, and they can't overtake us. Chelsea, the team to watch out, and they host bottom of the table Newcastle in their final game, so you'd expect them to win that. And yes, so it's kind of down to us. If we want to stay in 6th, we need to win, but we'll certainly see how that goes. Callum Wilson 2 goals ahead of Sergio Aguero in the race for the Golden Boot. So that's that then. Let's get straight into the game. Bournemouth, final game of the season, at home to Everton, going with a familiar lineup. I'm not going to run through it. If you've seen the channel, you've seen it before. Actually, do I want to make a change? Yeah, I'm going to stick Vardio in for Rico. Not sure why I thought I'd start that. It's going to be a really interesting summer because we've got players with contracts expiring, but I'm just cautious that getting rid of too many experienced players, players that have been with the club for a while, all in one go. Some of them are guaranteed to go, the likes of Boric. Obviously, we've already lost Francis, already lost Ryan Fraser, who are big influences, but it's going to be a really interesting summer, I think. Here's the Everton lineup then. Looks okay. It's certainly a winnable game, I think. Here we go. 5 minutes in. Everton goal kick. Harry Wilson. Oh, I thought Callum Wilson was going to nip in front of his defender there, as he has done on so many occasions throughout the season. I mean, he has had the season of his life. As Bernard now for Everton drags the shot wide into the side netting. But yeah, it's an interesting one with Callum. He's obviously bagged goal after goal for us this season, despite that crucial penalty miss against United. Oh, spilling, nods over. Probably should have scored. But yeah, I mean, like, he was linked with nearly £80 million moves, 76, 77, £78 million moves were mooted in the media for him in January to the likes of United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea. Basically all the big boys were interested in him. He's in the England squad, and as is Dominic Solanke. I believe Dominic Solanke is getting England call up, so I don't think he's playing for them, but I can't figure that one out. He's barely featured for me this season, but he seems to be a favourite of the national team manager, which I assume is Gareth Southgate still. No reason he would have lost his job at this point in the save. And yeah, that's where I'd play for Billing. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we do get a bid of that size. You know, I really want to keep Callum Wilson, obviously, to replace the number of goals he gets. As Josh King gives us the lead. He's had a really good season after starting slowly and being dropped momentarily. He's actually been our main source of goals, other than Callum Wilson, the second top scorer, and he's done really well. So I mean, I think I'll keep him around, to be fair. Even though we've got some young left wingers that'll be looking for game time next season. I'm thinking Marine, Danjuma, as Moise Keane, Ramsdale with a save. But yeah, if that bid does come in for Callum Wilson, would I be able to resist it? I mean, I know that's a lot of money. Could really build a lot for the club in terms of the framework of the club and personnel, new players as well. So it'll be an interesting one. But I mean, that's if a massive bid comes in. Didn't happen in January, so I didn't have to worry about the decision, although I definitely don't think I would have sold him in January. But at the end of the season, who knows? Who knows what will happen? We'll wait and see. Smith makes a run and finds Callum Wilson. And I think it was offside anyway. But yeah, he's looking to seal a golden boot on the final day. And I should probably put on the latest scores. See how Chelsea are doing. They're being held 0-0 by Newcastle. Aguero's got 1 for City against Wolves. So the race is still on for the golden boot. I think there's only 1 goal in it now as things stand. Yeah, and that's our time. Into the second 45 minutes now. Vardiol to Ake out wide. And yeah, I mean, there's a few other players I'd consider selling if the right bids came in. I mean, most of the squad, to be honest, are, I mean, not on the transfer list, but certainly available to the right offer. I mean, Lewis Cook's certainly not one of them. Will we see someone I want to stick around as Callum Wilson nips in front for number 30 for the season. And yeah, I mean, we want to stick around. Obviously, Harry Wilson going back to Liverpool, that'll be a big loss, as he's been a key performer for us this campaign. But there you think the likes of, I mean, Steve Cook and Ake, I've had run-ins with them throughout the season at various points. So if the right offer comes in for either of them, although Ake is probably our best player, I think I'd rather keep him. And Cook is he's the captain, so certainly not an easy decision to get rid of either of them. Adam Smith, I think, will stick around. Lerma, I mean, we had bids from Japan coming in for him in the January window, about, I think, just under 30 million. And I mean, I'd not be averse to letting him go. I think he's replaceable, but again, he's an experienced head in the changing room for the squad dynamics. Billing, I mean, I don't know if anyone will come in for him, but I think I would let him go for the right offer. So it's going to be an interesting one. King will stay, Wilson, Boric is going, Mepham is going to be probably the first choice, one of my first choice centre backs next season, get even more game time. Losek Almada, Jack Stacey, Matic obviously going back to United, and Solanke, his 50 grand wage. I can't imagine too many people will want to take him off my hands, no matter how many England squads he gets in. And I just haven't made any changes this game. I've just kind of left it to flow. But I will bring Losek on now. In fact, let's just make a double change. And in fact, let's bring Matic on to say goodbye. He can come on for Billing. It doesn't really matter at this point. I mean, I hope I haven't jinxed it now and Everton go and bag a couple of late goals, but it looks like that's going to be it. I mean, how did Chelsea? Yeah, scroll past it. Birmingham. I don't know where I'm coming from now. Bournemouth 2, Everton 0. So a solid end to the season. It's been a really good season. Players are pleased with that. I'm pleased with the result, and we are going to finish in 6th and qualify for the Europa League next year. Big year for the club. There it is then, confirmation that AFC Bournemouth did finish in 6th position in the Premier League in my first season at the club. And what season it's been. I think we've surpassed expectations, certainly. 2-0 against Everton. Yeah, Aguero, I think, just got the 1 goal, did he? For City, yeah. Against a 2-2 draw against Wolves. Liverpool did reach the 100-point barrier. Just the 2 defeats to Everton and Burnley. And if you look at how they've done this season, I've mentioned it earlier in the save in the year. Yeah, there's a couple of defeats. They had a sort of rough February, really. But other than that, bulldozed pretty much everything. Beat Ajax in the Champions League semi. And are scheduled to play United, should have been Bournemouth, in the FA Cup final, followed by Chelsea in the Champions League final the week after. So yeah, a couple of big Saturdays coming up for them as they look to complete what would be a hell of a season, to be fair. Winning pretty much everything. And yeah, confirmation we have qualified. And we've been given nearly 30 million for 6th place. I mean, the board are delighted to... I'm not really sure when we particularly looked like qualifying for the Champions League. I mean, it wasn't really ever particularly on the cards, was it? I mean, if we look at the graph here for Bournemouth... slow start. I mean, we got up to 4th for like a 1 game week or so, but I mean, realistically, it's been 5th, 6th, 7th, around about there. That's looked likely for pretty much the whole campaign. So, yeah, I mean, here, if they were less than halfway through the season, they were like, yeah, we've pretty much got Champions League football coming our way. I mean, yeah, well done, board. So I just touched on it. And yeah, we got a few contracts running out. Sermon, Matic. I mean, Stanislas, another one I think I'd maybe look to sell. If we run down here, certainly some players there that may not be here next season. Diego Rico, he's wanted. I mean, Huddersfield can have him if they come up with a good offer. Okay, he's wanted by Wolves and Shanghai, interestingly. I mean, sometimes you do get big bids from Asia for various players, and if they come in, I mean, Josh King's not going to be going on loan to the MLS, I can tell you that much. Steve Cook, Wolves definitely want one of our centre-backs, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they get one. It's just all about if the money's right, they're available, but I'm not going to particularly look to offload them, despite the issues they've caused me throughout the season. Defoe obviously on his way to Rangers. We've got Muntianu. I mean, we've got the likes of Traore, Armini, Luke Daly, Antonio Marin, all young signings at the start of the season. Have been out on loan for the most part, other than Muntianu, who's just bagged goal after goal, I think, for the under 23s, under 18s, wherever he's been playing. Yeah, he's got 41 goals, average rating of 8.11 in 32 and 5 appearances this season in a non-competitive. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely one to keep an eye on. He's got goals in him, that's for sure. Ryan Glover, maybe. And yeah, and in the under 18s, I think we've just got Kennett and Wrench are the main 2. Again, 2 that were signed. I mean, of the youth intake we had this year, I don't think we signed any of them. I think the recommendation was that none of them were worth a contract. So even though they bigged up a couple of the players and how promising they might be, I mean, it was clear to see they weren't promising at all, wasn't it? For a Premier League side, it's poor. But with the improvement to our facilities that's ongoing, maybe in the future we'll get some better intakes. But I mean, I'm not holding out too much hope for that. the youth facilities will be completed in October, same time as the improved training facilities, and the data analysis will be done soon. So yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, we're definitely looking on the up. We've got some new affiliates throughout the season. We've now got a Polish affiliate, which I just recently, 4th of May, started that one. They take 3 years to get one. I mean, really, I wanted a Spanish, still looking for a Spanish one to perhaps loan out some Brazilians and get them, they can't get work permits, help get them a second nationality. Yeah, we've got Lazaro and this kid who I think has really good potential when I scouted him, that I brought in. I agreed to sign. I mean, he's not coming in for a while yet. 2022, and Lazaro, and this Uzbekistan international midfielder, who, I mean, I just kind of like the look of him. I kind of like the look of his stats, and I agreed these two deals here really early, and I think in the first window, perhaps those future deals. And it'd be nice to see them join the squad, but I mean, they're not going to get anywhere. And I wasn't sure, obviously, at the time about what kind of Brexit we'd get. I'm not sure if I mentioned it even on camera, but basically Brexit's a bit of a non-event in this save. The message I got essentially said that things are going to stay the same. There's no change to the work permit system, so I think that means that basically everything's going to be exactly the same as it always has been, which, I mean, that's a bit disappointing in a way, but it could have been a lot worse. Could have been a hard Brexit, which would have been a bit of a nightmare. Here's my current shortlist then. I mean, there's some players on here that are definitely out of our league and we have no chance of signing, and there's some realistic ones. There's a big range of players. I mean, I really like the look of this guy, actually. I've not seen too many people signing him, but I mean, he seems like a really good prospect, but I don't think he's going to be a realistic one. I think he'll be out of our price range, and not convinced he'll want to come to us anyway. Although now that we've secured Europa League football, that should open maybe a few doors. I mean, I did think about Esposito, the popular Italian from Inter, but he's actually already gone to Liverpool. So as strong as Liverpool have been this season, it's looking like they're not going to get any weaker over the coming years. This is one guy I've had my eye on, and I know he's popular. Estimated cost is well within our affordable range. I mean, he's not quite there yet, but certainly got huge potential, and the wage isn't too big either. So he's perhaps one I'm looking at more than others. Jude Bellingham, of course, majorly hyped in real life. Stats aren't there yet, but he's definitely one. I want to bring in some young English talent, and he's one I'll be looking at. I mean, it's a really tricky one. So who I'm going to sign? I mean, what I've done in the past is I've built a team full of wonder kids too quickly and not had enough experienced players, so it's taken a year or two for them all to gel together and get used to playing with each other. And obviously they don't have that leadership to really allow them to play to their full potential, certainly not right away anyway. This guy, one of the most highly recommended players, and again, he's affordable. He's only 17 as well. He's a winger. We've got this striker. I had to try to sign it last season, but he was asking for wages of about 40 grand a week, which I wasn't prepared to give him at 16 years old. But I mean, I've been told I should sign him whatever the price, it's still a cheap price. So maybe he's one. Romero. I mean, do I need another centre back? I mean, this guy will be one of the targets if I do decide that I need to bring in another one. Also, we've got the likes of Armini. We've got Wrench and Kenny who can both play there, although maybe they're more midfielders for the future. It's definitely going to be an interesting season. Off season, we'll see what kind of transfer budget we get, and I'll probably spend a lot of time with this one. I mean, this guy looks good, but I think he's a little bit more than we can afford, to be honest with you. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, Norwich have been relegated. I've got my eye on Ben Godfrey and Max Aarons, certainly from them. Aarons in particular, I think at right back would be a big upgrade to our right hand side. There's Guardiola gets sacked by Man City. And we go through what happened on the final day of the season. And just to confirm that 6th is a new record height for the club. And we will be playing European football next season. So really good. I mean, I was hoping for, I'd have been happy with 10th, anything around that really mid-table, but to get into 6th above Chelsea has really exceeded all expectations. And like the games we've lost have all been against those sides above us: Liverpool, United, City, Arsenal, Tottenham. We lost 1 to Chelsea, obviously just below us. We lost to Everton. I mean, other than that defeat to Leicester towards the end of the season, all the games that we lost were to, the other 7 members of the top 8. So it shows that we're capable. Certainly when we're the better side, we can put teams to the sword, we can win games. But when we come up against the real big boys with the world-class players, we can struggle. I mean, we beat Chelsea. We got draws, again, we beat United actually on the opening day. We got draws against Arsenal and Spurs, but we also been battered a few times by some of the big teams. So, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting off-season. Big potential for next season, but also I think we might even struggle to repeat how well we've done. Callum Wilson obviously picking up the golden boot, confirmation of that there. And yeah, Wilson scored 7 of 8 penalties in the league, just that one miss towards the end of the season, and he was up there in player of the matches, minutes per goal, offsides, unfortunately, and chances created. Harry Wilson, just show how difficult he's going to be to replace. I mean, maybe we'll look to loan him back again. I'll see if Liverpool are open to that. I mean, I'm also interested in Mason Greenwood, perhaps getting him in on a loan deal. He'd be a big acquisition. We need a bigger squad next year, more games, more fixtures, congested months. Maybe part of the reason we've done so well is as we only had to worry about sort of the Premier League. I mean, we had the FA Cup as well, but I mean, we didn't have European games on the calendar to worry about. So it's going to be a real different season in year 2, and interesting to see how we get on with it. Here's our end of season mini review then, end of season awards. So Callum Wilson, unsurprisingly, took home the fans player of the season, ahead of Lewis Cook and Harry Wilson, who got goal of the season. Yeah, I remember that one. Hlosek, sign of the season, and Lewis Cook with young player of the season. I mean, I can't disagree really with any of those awards. See, Super Callum, great year. And the season review, few would have tipped Bournemouth to achieve more than a top half finish, and we secured continental football. Impressive spell of form between September and December. Saw them briefly rise to 4th, as we just discussed. The board are still a little bit annoyed we didn't make Champions League. The cheek of it, the absolute cheek of it. But what do they want for next season? Similar ambitions, mid-table. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to accept minimum 3-year contracts for first team players. Yeah, sure. Squad dynamics update. Team leaders. I mean, this is where it gets interesting. Obviously, Boric and Sermon will definitely be on their way out. Matic will. And then, your guess is as good as mine as to who will be here next season. I really don't want to change it too much. I mean, I'll come back to the end of season. But injuries, we've had quite a few sort of going into the start of the game. But we didn't get too many during the course of the season. A few like minor knocks, but no real long-term ones other than those we already had, when I loaded up the save. So pretty good injury record, I'd say. And confirmation that Callum Wilson has won the Premier League Golden Boot Award. And I assume that's Wilson, is it? Yeah, Callum Wilson's also been named in the Team of the Year, up top alongside Sergio Aguero. Just adding this bit in here to show the commercial summary. Callum Wilson, unsurprisingly, was the top shirt seller. And merchandise sales, only 736,000. Yeah, we're still not really any kind of force outside of England, to be honest with you. But that can change. We've got Lerma, King, Harry Wilson and Brooks, who barely played but still selling well. So that's good to see. We signed a new kit deal, an increase on the last one. And the initial budgets, we're looking at about 50 million to spend on players, 1.3 million per week on the wages. So time to get busy. Some of the players then get ready for the European Championships in the summer. I bid you farewell. Thanks so much for tuning in, and please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It's massively appreciated. This is a brand new channel. It's my first ever YouTube series, so I'm sure one day I'll look back at this and realise how poor I was, especially at times throughout this series, but I promise you it can only get better. So don't hold it against me. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon for season 2. Cheers guys.